What up, guys? So before I say anything else, I just want to say RIP to everybody that was killed out in San Bernardino, California. I didn't make a separate video on that because it was being covered by all the major news networks. But RIP to everybody that was killed out there. Alright, now I'm going to move on to Spazz. I was going to wait until I found out the gang affiliation of the guy that he killed. But if I find out that information, I'll just mention it in some upcoming video. I'm not going to wait. I'm just going to drop the video now. So basically, PBG Spazz, real name Jermel Dawsey. He was a 17-year-old rapper, part of TFG, which is Young Pappy's music clique. Now, if you don't know who Young Pappy was, I dropped a separate video on him. You can find that out. But basically, these guys were rappers in Rogers Park. Now, Spazz had only put out a couple songs, few songs with Lil Sean, with Pappy. Just, basically, he was an up-and-coming rapper. He wasn't nearly as big as Pappy. And it's hard to know where he would have gone with his career because it ended so young. Now, he's basically locked up right now for murder, for the murder of a 22-year-old named Clifton Fry. Now, again, his gang affiliation, I'm not sure. However, PBG Spazz's gang affiliation was ICG, Insane Cutthroat Gangster. They're also known as Pooh Bear Gang. Okay, TFG is the music clique, so don't get those confused. Now, PBG and ICG are the same thing. They are a faction of the Gangster Disciples. However, their identity as Gangster Disciples really, I don't think anymore is valid. I think they're basically a separate gang from GDs. I would not consider them GDs, even though they collaborated with some GDs like Lil J. I would not consider them to be Gangster Disciples at this point because two of the main beefs that they have in that hood are with other Gangster Disciple factions, namely LOC, Loyalty Over Cash, also known as Loke City, and Day Day World GDs. Now, they're also at war with the little Four Corner Hustlers from Wilson Avenue, and they're also at war with the conservative Vice Lords from Uptown. Now, the speculation on the street is that it was the Four Corner Hustlers who killed Young Pappy. But however, they have all these other conflicts going on, and the cops apparently in that murder, I heard, got the wrong guy. That it was actually the Four Corner Hustlers and not the guy who they arrested, whose gang affiliation I'm not quite sure about. But anyways, a couple days after Young Pappy's murder, the victim who I talked about, Clifton Fry, he had posted allegedly some kind of a diss against Young Pappy on Facebook. Young Pappy was killed on May 29th, okay, of 2014. Now, he was killed again, like I said, probably by the Four Corner Hustlers. That's not going to be found in the papers. But Dawsey, Jermel Dawsey, a.k.a. PBG Spazz, allegedly shot his victim 2 days later. It was not immediately clear when or what the victim had posted on Facebook. However, I heard a rumor that he had said, he was smoking on a Young Pappy pack. Okay. Now, on June 1st, the 22-year-old victim was standing outside of Gale Elementary School in the 7600 block of North Ashland at John Quill Avenue. At around 1:05 p.m., Principal Cassandra Washington said that she and staff heard the sound of gunshots. Now, I'm going to point out that school is across the field. I'm going to point out in this video, I'm going to show you guys all the locations. I already dropped the video where I showed the locations of, basically everything that PBG Spazz did in the days surrounding the shooting. All the locations where he was at, the location where he did the hit. I'm going to point it out again here. I'm not going to talk about it. I'll just put the writing up on the screen to show you guys. Now, so that's basically right across the street from the spot that I will show in this video. Now, the incident was captured on Gale's school's security footage and turned over to police. Now, according to prosecutors, video surveillance caught the license plate of the car that drove away with Dawsey. Now again, Dawsey is PBG Spazz. That drove away with PBG Spazz after the shooting before he was dropped off near North Glenwood and West Pratt in Rogers Park, and I'll also show that location. Now, that same video also shows Dossie running from the Ashland Avenue alley, carrying a large gun and shooting at the victim. Now, third grade students were outside playing during recess at the time of the shooting, according to the principal. Now, the principal said that she immediately called 911 as adults ushered the students inside. As the shooting occurred, she said that several parents were walking out the school's front entrance and saw the gunfire. They ran back inside traumatized, she said. Now, immediately after the shooting, a bus full of students returning from a field trip pulled up in front of the school, causing parents and staff to create a barricade between the crime scene and students. Now, in April 2014, Keno Glass, who I also dropped a video on, he was a student at Senn High School. He was 16. He was shot and killed at the same corner while Gale students were at school. Now, 2 days later, Gale's local school council met with Washington, who said that because of the proximity to the shooting to the school and for the safety of the students, recess would be canceled until school let out on June 19th. Now, we know shooters are brazen enough to do it at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, she said, and as we already know, they're brazen enough to do it at 9 a.m., just like they did last year on Marshfield, so we can't take that chance. She said this during an LSC meeting. Now, after outrage from the community, Chicago Public School Representative Lauren Huffman said that CPS would add 1 full-time security staff to Gale so that recess could resume. Young Pappy had been engaged in a running online feud with rival gang members, taunting each other in social media posts and videos, and the feud spilled into the streets of Rogers Park and Uptown over the past several years, with 2 people getting killed by bullets intended for Young Pappy. Now, one of those happened at a McDonald's, where I also dropped a separate video showing this. A guy named Marquio Carr was accidentally killed in an attempted hit on Young Pappy. I'll also drive past that McDonald's in this video. That's at Pratt and Clark. But I'm not going to go inside there. I dropped a separate video where I go inside that McDonald's and show the gang graffiti on the inside of the bathrooms, talking about PBGK, basically disrespect towards Young Pappy's gang. Now, Jermel Dossie, PBG Spazz, was still in high school. He was a sophomore, and he was ordered held in lieu of $1 million bail by Judge Donald Panarisi. Now, that was changed after the victim died in the hospital. He was originally left brain dead, but he was technically alive. He later died, and the charge was upgraded to murder. Now, police said that Dossie shot the man multiple times at about 1:10 p.m. June 1st in the 7600 block of North Ashland. Dossie was charged as an adult with aggravated battery with a firearm and attempted first-degree murder. Again, those were the original charges. Okay, the charges were later upgraded. Now, one thing that I just want to real quick say about this neighborhood has calmed down a lot. I lived here in the, around 2000 to, early 2000s, and back then, this neighborhood, at one point had a higher murder rate than Lawndale. Okay, this was one of the hottest red zones in the city. It has since calmed down a lot. I've had debates online with people saying, oh, that's not that turned up of an area. Back then it was. Now it's not too much anymore. If you're not about that gang life, your odds are not that high. But back in the 90s and early 2000s, this was a very turned up hood. Okay, now the victim, Clifton Fry, he was of the 1400 block of West Farwell. That's also in this neighborhood. He was pronounced dead on June 18th at Northwestern Memorial Hospital, according to the medical examiner's office. He had been pronounced brain dead, but was still technically alive 4 days earlier. Now, in court on that Tuesday, Judge James Brown ordered Dossie held without bond on an upgraded charge of first-degree murder. He was also being held. Okay, now, Assistant State's Attorney Akash Vyas didn't say when or what the 22-year-old Fry had written on Facebook, but Dossie asked a friend to drive to the Rogers Park neighborhood as an apparent getaway driver on the afternoon of June 1st. Dossie, a.k.a. PBG Spazz, accosted Fry while he was walking in the 7600 block of North Ashland. Now, Dossie's friend, who had parked near an alley, heard 3 to 4 shots and then saw Dossie jump back into the car with a gun following the shooting. Dossie demanded that his friend drive away and asked to be dropped off near Glenwood and Pratt. Now, surveillance video captured an armed Dossie running from an alley towards Fry and firing. The footage also caught the license plate of the car that Dossie was in. Now, Dossie, PBG Spazz, was arrested after police officers saw him get out of an Albany Park apartment. That's a different neighborhood where I'm also going to go. That's like Montrose, and I'll drive there in this video and show you guys the spot. Dossie was arrested after police officers saw him get out of an Albany Park apartment and into a car. They followed and arrested him in the 3900 block of West Montrose Avenue. Now, he was a sophomore in high school. Like I said, he was a member of the Insane Cutthroat Gangsters. Now, this is even reported in the paper. And Young Pappy was not signed to a record label, but his song Killa and Finito Freestyle had been really, popping on YouTube. And the 19-year-old had previously been the intended target of at least 2 shootings that left bystanders dead before he was killed. Now I show all the locations. Those are the details about the murder, and PBG Spazz is now sitting, behind bars, along with Lil Sean, who also killed another person, Valen Francis, who I dropped who actually the victim, his family sent me an RIP video, which I posted up about him. So these two murders, both Lil Sean and PBG Spazz's murder, Clifton Fry, occurred, soon after the death of young Pappy. They are both now locked up. Okay. So Spazz had put out some music. And mainly he was just collaborating with other people. He had put out a couple songs with Lil Sean and a song with Pappy, and then he had dropped a freestyle on YouTube. And it was the typical stuff that you would expect from PBG, the kind of content, it's like smoking dope, hoes, shooting people, that kind of stuff. But as far as like where he was going to go with his career, I mean, he was only 17, so it's hard to know. I mean, he wasn't. He was just, basically starting off his life. And as far as like the reason why he did it, I have no idea. I mean, I did not know Spazz personally. I'm not inside his mind. And again, we're talking about allegations, but I mean, the evidence seems to be pretty strong. Once in the jam, he has tweeted several times that he seems to have been forgotten by his homies. He said, once you get locked up, people act like you died, and he's probably feeling kind of lonely in there. So, the lessons to learn from this are pretty obvious. And I know that most of you guys listening don't need to be told not to kill somebody because they diss you on Facebook. The social media has added a whole other dimension to the gang violence in Chicago. And it's also coincided with the breakdown of the leadership, coincidentally. And so you have a situation where this kind of thing is happening all the time. This kind of thing is not an anomaly, like dissing over some social media comment. And then killing because of that, like that's not something unusual actually. This one gained more attention because it's a high profile case, because it surrounded, a well-known rapper, but this kind of thing goes on literally every week in Chicago, killings over online disses. And when a person is killing over something like, property or money, when it's a dice game and they're, some guy shoots another guy to take his money or something like that. That's a situation where, if you get a guy a good job and get him a lot of money, you can alleviate that situation through economic means. When you're talking about something like respect, though, it's a whole different kind of situation. I mean, people like to reduce the violence to one thing in Chicago. It's this is what's causing it. This is the solution. But really, there's a lot of different things going on. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of people involved in this, and each one of these people is different. Every person is different. Everyone has their own reason that they kill. Everyone comes from their own unique situation. You can't reduce it to just one thing. But one thing that is going on in Chicago that I'll say, and this is going on here to a greater extent than I've seen in any other city where I've been. I lived in the hood in Miami for about 6 months, 8 months, a year, and I was the only white guy on the block. This was an entirely Haitian area, and there were gangs there, but it was totally different than Chicago, man. It was a lot more about the drug business. In Chicago, what we have going on is basically within certain hoods, certain segments of the population, a religion of respect, a cult to respect, where respect is the god. And if that god is not pleased, you offer it human sacrifice to appease it, okay? You guys get what I'm saying? Like, people worship respect. Literally, they say, we say just what the Marines say, death before dishonor. Now, the Marines interpret that as, I would rather die than leave my friend on the battlefield or whatever. The way that the gang members interpret it is, I would rather kill somebody rather than let them disrespect me, okay? This is the way that it is, like, in a lot of places. And I know people personally that have this mentality. They would rather die than let, them or one of their dead friends, and by extension them, be dissed. Certain people, I mean, it's not just gang members either. Like, people can do this to a lesser extent within the civilian life. They worship pride, they worship it, and it totally changes the way that they think. It becomes, everything. Like, it becomes everything that they think about. It governs every thought that they have, every feeling, every emotion, period, throughout the day. And when it's not appeased, it becomes so unbelievably unbearable and agitating that they have to do something to silence the source of that agitation. And this is why people get so mad at people that disagree with them. When a person gets super proud, they get the notion in their minds that they know everything, and that their own way of thinking and their own perspective is the objective absolute perspective, and that their mind is the supreme rational order of the universe. And anytime that they meet someone who doesn't agree with them and doesn't think the way that they think, it's a face-to-face confrontation that their mind is not the supreme rational order of the universe, and they can't get over it. They just cannot deal with that, with the agitation of that reality, and they have to just crush this person and bring them in submission to, and they start to hate, like literally hate people just for like simply disagreeing. Not to mention people that disrespect them, that insult them. They literally will hate this person, and they'll hate them, to the point where they wish that they could kill them. But some safeguard within their intellect that says, I'll be locked up for this or whatever, prevents them from doing that. Now with teenage gang members, that's not always the case. That agitation, that hate becomes so strong that they actually act it out. And again, I don't know Spazz. I have no idea why he did this. I've never met Jermel Dawsey. I'm not inside his mind. I'm just talking about in general. I'm saying, and like also speaking from personal experience. Like, you will go out and just do anything to appease that pride, appease that need for that respect. And anyone who's not giving you that respect has to die. So now when this is the case, the only thing that can, replace this is, something that's even better than respect. And the only thing that's better than respect that I know personally is, the spirituality thing. I know people get annoyed when I go into talks about this, but a lot of these gang members are dealing with life and death situations, and so that's something that's totally pertinent. And a lot of them, most of them are pretty religious. So, if you're an atheist, I would say this, if you're a gang member and you're an atheist, I actually don't know any gang members that are atheists, but if you're a gang member and you're an atheist, then I would say just ride, because you got nothing to lose. Ride, do whatever, just kill him, kill his whole family, do whatever you gotta do, because there ain't nothing to worry about after this. If you're a Muslim, it depends. You know what I'm saying? If you're Muslim, it depends, the situation. I know that there's certain situations in Islam where retaliation is called for and where that's permissible and where it's actually, commanded. If a person does this to you, you got to, repay them eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. There's certain situations, where violence as a response to other violence is permissible. I'm pretty sure, though, that in Islam, killing somebody for a diss on Facebook is not permissible. I'm pretty sure that that's not permissible. I think the only reason in Islam that you can kill somebody is if they disrespect Allah or Muhammad. I'm not sure about that though, so don't quote me on that. Now, if you're a Christian, which I know a lot of gang members are, if you're Christian and you're gonna be down, revenge is not. That's not part of our religion. You can't do that. Revenge belongs only to God. You know what I'm saying? Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. I will repay. You can't go and take matters into your own hands. We don't have that authority. And plus, he forgave the people that killed him while they were laughing at him as he lay dying. So if you're going to be down with this, you got to do the same thing. You can't ride, especially, not to mention the fact that, if there's just over a diss on Facebook or something like that, that's totally out of the question. As retaliation for disrespect, you absolutely cannot ride if you're going to be down with this. You know what I'm saying? And then dudes are always, saying, well, oh, it'll be cool, I'll just, change my ways later. But then as soon as they get locked up in the jam or whatever, they become a saint. You know what I'm saying? They're out here on the street talking about, I'm a demon, I'm a killer, I'm a savage. Then as soon as they get locked up, now I'm praying every night. You know what I'm saying? As soon as I get in the hospital with bullet wounds, pray for me. You know what I'm saying? What I would say is pray now. Pray now when you're out on the street, so that you won't, give into that temptation to go and do something like what, Spazz did and end up in a situation where he's at. Because now his homies ain't there. You know what I'm saying? Look at what he's tweeting out of jail. Y'all acting like I'm dead. You ain't there for me. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody talking to me now. Don't nobody even think about me anymore. That's basically what's going on. Everybody's unditched him. And at that point, only God can be with you. So pray now when you out on the street. Don't wait till you in a jam, you know what I'm saying, to pray. Pray now. Because otherwise you're going to end up in that situation or a worse situation. So, yeah, that's all I would say about this. This is your boy Chicago News. I'm loose.